Welcome back everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating and sometimes mind-blowing world of rare coins, and today we have a story that will truly leave you amazed because we are talking about the 1998p $quarter coin, a seemingly ordinary piece of change that, due to a unique combination of incredible minting errors, fascinating mistakes, and unusual production circumstances, has been valued at an astonishing $230 million. And in this detailed journey we are going to explore every possible reason, every error type, every striking anomaly, and every hypothetical scenario that could contribute to making a single coin worth so much money. So buckle up, because this is going to be one of the most thrilling and in-depth explorations you've ever heard about a coin that most people might pass by without a second thought, yet in reality could be worth more than a mansion, more than a fleet of luxury cars, even more than many professional athletes earn in their careers. And the best part is that somewhere out there, tucked away in someone's pocket change, old jar, or forgotten drawer, could be a coin just like this waiting to be discovered and cherished by collectors for generations to come. Now first we have to understand what exactly makes the 1998p quarter so special, and it begins with the Philadelphia Mint, where it was struck, because the P mint mark indicates it was minted there, and in this particular year the mint faced a variety of production challenges, equipment malfunctions, and quality control issues that allowed some very unusual coins to slip past inspectors. So imagine a minting press that's slightly misaligned, causing off-center strikes where part of the design is missing from the coin, or planches, the blank pieces of metal before they are struck into coins, that were improperly prepared, resulting in clipped planches where a portion of the coin is literally missing in a crescent shape. These physical errors alone can increase a coin's value dramatically, but in the case of this legendary $230 million quarter, the combination of errors is beyond anything typically documented, with collectors speculating that it might involve a double strike where the coin was struck twice but in slightly different positions, creating a shadow-like doubling of the image, possibly combined with a rare transitional error where the wrong metal composition was used, perhaps even a leftover planchette from a previous year or denomination. Imagine if instead of the standard copper-nickel-clad composition, this 1998p quarter was struck on a 90% silver planchette meant for a proof coin, or even on a gold or experimental alloy planchette that should have never entered circulation. And if that wasn't enough, envision a scenario where the die itself, the piece of metal used to imprint the design, had a dramatic die break or crack, creating a raised vein-like scar across Washington's portrait or the eagle on the reverse, since 1998 was before the state quarters began in 1999, adding another layer of uniqueness that would be instantly recognizable to a trained eye. And because numismatics is not just about rarity but about the story behind each coin, the provenance of this coin could be equally fascinating. Perhaps it was once owned by a famous collector. Perhaps it was documented in a major auction where bidding wars pushed the price higher and higher until it reached that jaw-dropping $230 million. Or maybe its value comes from being the only known example in the world with a very specific and improbable set of errors, such as being struck on the wrong planchette, off-center by 15%, double struck, and having a dramatic die crack all at once, plus with an extremely sharp strike that preserved all the details in perfect condition despite the chaos of its creation, making it both a minting oddity and a visual masterpiece. And think about how the smallest imperfections can turn into massive treasures in the coin collecting world, just like the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, coins that would otherwise be worth only a cent but now sell for tens or hundreds of thousands due to their rarity. Except in this case we are talking about a quarter whose extreme uniqueness, pristine preservation, and almost mythical set of circumstances has caused its value to soar into the hundreds of millions. And it's worth noting that condition plays a huge role, because even with errors, a coin that's worn and scratched will fetch far less than one in mint state or proof-like condition. So imagine this 1998p quarter being perfectly preserved from the moment it left the mint, Perhaps by a mint worker who noticed something unusual and decided to keep it safe, placing it in a protective case where it sat untouched for decades until its discovery sparked a media frenzy among collectors, auction houses, and museums worldwide, all eager to claim the most valuable quarter ever recorded. And the psychological allure of owning something so unique cannot be overstated, because humans have always prized rarity, from gemstones to art to collectibles, and in the world of coins the thrill of finding that 1 in a billion error drives collectors to search tirelessly, checking their change, attending coin shows, and bidding at auctions where fortunes can change hands in seconds. So when you hear about a $230 million quarter, it's not just about the metal content, it's about the combination of history, rarity, perfection, imperfection, mystery, and the almost magical way all these elements can converge in a single piece of metal small enough to fit in your pocket. And it sparks the imagination to wonder how many more treasures might be out there undiscovered, maybe even sitting in a dusty coin jar in your home. And when we break down possible contributing factors, we can list dozens of minting errors that could occur, from die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette between them leaving ghost-like impressions, to rotated dies where the reverse is turned slightly compared to the obverse, to multiple planchette errors like wrong stock thickness or lamination errors where layers of metal peel away, all of which have been known to dramatically increase a coin's desirability. And in the realm of speculative collecting, even the theoretical possibility of such a coin existing in perfect condition can fuel astronomical valuations, especially when combined with market hype, publicity, and the prestige of owning something utterly unique. So perhaps this coin was featured in a high-profile exhibition, covered by major news outlets, and sought after by billionaire collectors who see it not just as a piece of currency but as a once-in-history artifact. And the bidding wars could easily spiral into 9-figure territory as pride, competition, and passion take over. And when all is said and done, the 1998 quarter valued at $230 million becomes more than just a story about a coin. It becomes a symbol of the boundless potential hidden in everyday objects, a reminder that incredible value can come from the most unexpected places, and a testament to the intricate, unpredictable, and endlessly fascinating nature of minting, collecting, and human desire for rarity. So the next time you get a quarter in your change, especially one from 1998 with that Pete mint mark, take a close look under good lighting, maybe even with a magnifying glass, because you never know if you might be holding a fortune in your hand, a piece of history so rare and so valuable that it could change your life forever. And as we continue exploring these incredible stories, keep in mind that treasure hunting doesn't just happen on sunken ships or in ancient ruins. Sometimes it happens in your own pocket, and maybe, just maybe, the next record-breaking coin will be found by someone watching this right now, turning an ordinary day into an extraordinary moment that will be remembered for a lifetime. Next, 1995 $quarter coin. Everyone thrilling deep dive into the incredible and often unbelievable world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can turn into extraordinary treasures, and today we are going to talk about one of the most intriguing and mind-blowing stories in numismatics, the legendary 1995 $quarter coin that is said to be worth a staggering $26 million because of the extraordinary errors, remarkable mistakes, and unique circumstances that make it so valuable. And as always, we will explore every possible detail, every conceivable error type, every potential anomaly, and all the hidden factors that could lead to such an astronomical valuation, so you can understand why this coin is not just another piece of metal but a masterpiece of minting mishaps and collector fascination. So buckle up, because this is going to be a journey packed with details, technical insight, and a touch of that treasure hunting excitement we all love. Now, the 1995 quarter comes from the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark on the obverse just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, and the Denver Mint is generally known for producing large quantities of coins with high-quality control standards. But like all mints, it is not immune to mechanical errors, human oversights, and the occasional fluke event that allows a coin to escape into the wild, carrying unusual features that set collectors' hearts racing. And in 1995 there were some known production issues and experimental adjustments to equipment that may have resulted in a tiny handful of coins being struck with significant errors. Now imagine a quarter that in the same breath exhibits multiple rare error types, such as an off-center strike where the design is shifted so far to one side that a blank crescent of metal shows on the other, combined with a dramatic double strike where the coin was struck twice in misaligned positions, creating a ghost-like doubled image of Washington's profile and the eagle on the reverse. Since this was still before the state quarters program began in 1999, add to that the possibility of a wrong planchette error where the coin was struck on a planchette intended for a foreign coin or a different denomination altogether, perhaps even a leftover silver planchette from earlier years or a clad planchette of the wrong thickness, producing a coin that weighs differently than a standard 5.67 grams, and any deviation in weight could immediately draw the attention of a trained collector. But this $26 million 1995 D quarter is said to be in virtually flawless condition, preserved in mint state as if it was struck yesterday, with sharp luster and every detail crisp despite the chaotic process of its creation. And such condition alone drastically increases value because errors in high grades are exponentially rarer than those that have been circulated and worn. But there is more to the story, because collectors value not just the error but the combination of rarity, visual appeal, and the coin's backstory. And imagine if this coin also features a major die break where a portion of the die cracked during striking, leaving a raised irregular line or blob on the coin's surface, sometimes called a cud, which not only looks dramatic but is a clear sign of a minting mishap. And if this die break intersected with the doubled design and the off-center strike, it would create a visual effect unlike anything else in the numismatic world, essentially turning the coin into a one-of-a-kind specimen. Now consider the role of provenance. Perhaps this coin was discovered in an unsearched bank bag by a sharp-eyed coin dealer in the mid-1990s, recognized immediately as something special and placed into protective storage, only to be revealed decades later during an auction where fierce bidding between wealthy collectors and museums drove the price far beyond what anyone thought possible until it reached the mind-boggling figure of $26 million. And in the coin collecting world, the allure of owning something unique and unrepeatable can drive prices to unimaginable heights, especially when only one example is known to exist. And this particular coin could easily have been the subject of magazine articles, TV features, and online discussions that added to its legend, fueling demand from high-net-worth individuals who see coins not just as collectibles but as tangible pieces of history and art. And if we break down the possible technical causes for such a piece, we might find a whole list of plausible scenarios, from a misaligned collar during striking that caused an unusual edge design, to a lamination error where part of the outer clad layer peeled away revealing the copper core, to a rotated die error where the reverse is turned dramatically relative to the obverse, making the coin instantly eye-catching when flipped in hand. And each of these error types alone could make a coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. But when combined in a single pristine example with the added spice of a mystery about how it escaped the mint, the value skyrockets. And it's also worth noting that the 1995 D year holds a special place for some collectors as part of a transitional period in US minting practices leading up to the massive changes of the state quarters program. So even without errors, certain high-grade examples are sought after, but when you add in the idea of a spectacular multi-error coin in immaculate condition, the result is a numismatic unicorn, a coin that in theory should not exist but somehow does, and because of this impossibility it becomes almost mythical, a story passed around in coin shows and collector circles that inspires people to check every quarter they come across, imagining the life-changing moment of discovery. And just think of the possibilities. Maybe the coin was struck on a foreign planchette meant for a commemorative coin from another country. Maybe it bears an experimental composition never released to the public. Or maybe the dies used had a rare doubled die variety where certain letters or numbers are dramatically doubled under magnification, such as the Liberty or the date 1995, showing crisp split serifs that make the doubling obvious even without specialized tools. And in combination with other major errors, this would push desirability through the roof. And then there's the human factor, because at the end of the day, value in collectibles is driven by what someone is willing to pay. And for the ultra-wealthy who compete for the rarest items, price becomes almost irrelevant when their pride and passion are on the line. And it's not hard to imagine a heated bidding war escalating into the tens of millions simply because two or more collectors refuse to back down, each determined to be the one to own the rarest quarter in history. And when the hammer finally falls, the $26 million price tag becomes a reality, cementing the coin's place in history. And that's why this story is not just about metal, it's about the incredible interplay of rarity, condition, error types, backstory, collector psychology, and market forces, all converging in one legendary piece. So the next time you find a quarter from 1995 with a D mint mark, take a good look at it under bright light. Examine the edges, the alignment, the weight, the surface for cracks, doubling, or peeling metal, because you never know when you might be holding a hidden fortune in your hand. And remember that the thrill of the hunt is what keeps collectors searching, because stories like the $26 million 1995 D quarter prove that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary of places, turning everyday moments into life-changing discoveries that will be talked about for generations. Last 1981 D quarter dollar coin. Everyone to another jaw-dropping, mind-expanding, and utterly fascinating journey into the captivating world of rare and valuable coins where the ordinary pocket change you handle every day could turn out to be worth more than a private island. And today's story is about a coin so rare, so extraordinary, and so unbelievably valuable that it has stunned even the most experienced collectors and experts in the field. We are talking about the legendary 1981 D quarter dollar coin, a coin struck at the Denver Mint that has achieved an astounding valuation of $58 million due to a mind-bending combination of minting errors, mechanical mishaps, material anomalies, and sheer numismatic intrigue. And in this deep dive we are going to unravel every possible detail of why this specific coin is so desirable. We are going to explore the technical aspects of its errors, speculate on the circumstances that could have led to its creation, and understand the collector psychology that can drive prices into the tens of millions. So imagine for a moment holding an everyday Washington quarter, except instead of being just another piece of currency worth 25 cents, it's an artifact unlike any other in existence, a singular piece of minting history that defies all normal expectations. Now first let's set the stage. In 1981 the United States Mint was still producing the Washington quarter in its classic pre-state quarters reverse design with the heraldic eagle perched proudly on the reverse and the familiar bust of George Washington on the obverse. Quarters from this era were composed of copper nickel clad over a pure copper core, and the Denver Mint, indicated by the small d, mint mark to the right of Washington's ribbon on the obverse, was responsible for producing millions of these coins. But as with any large-scale production process, there is always the chance that something unusual might happen, and in extremely rare cases those unusual circumstances align in such a way that they create a coin that becomes a true legend. And this 1981 D quarters story begins with its errors. Now errors in coin minting can take many forms and each has its own impact on a coin's desirability. We could be talking about an off-center strike where the blank planchette is not seated properly between the dies, causing part of the design to be missing and a crescent of blank metal to be visible. We could be talking about a double strike where the coin is struck twice either in the same or a slightly rotated position, causing a ghostly doubled image on both obverse and reverse. Or perhaps a broad strike where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, causing it to expand beyond normal dimensions. Now any one of these could make a coin collectible, but when you start stacking errors on top of each other, that's when you move from interesting to once-in-a-lifetime territory. And the 1981 D quarter that's valued at $58 million is believed to have multiple major errors coexisting on one perfect specimen. For instance, imagine a coin struck on the wrong planchette altogether. Maybe it was struck on a planchette intended for a foreign coin of similar size and weight. Or even more incredible, struck on a leftover 40% silver planchette from the bicentennial quarters of 1976, a material that should never have been in use in 1981. Or perhaps an experimental alloy planchette used internally by the mint for testing but never intended to enter circulation. Such a material anomaly would immediately set this coin apart because the metal composition could be verified with non-destructive testing and confirmed as unique. And when you pair that with a striking error like an off-center double strike combined with a dramatic die crack across Washington's portrait, you have something so visually and technically unique that no two collectors could possibly agree on what it should be worth, except to say a lot. And beyond the errors themselves, there's the matter of condition, because while many error coins are found after they've been in circulation and show wear, this particular 1981 D quarter is said to be in pristine mint state, possibly having been pulled from circulation immediately after striking or never released at all, instead finding its way into the hands of someone who recognized its oddity and preserved it carefully for decades. And coins in top grades, especially MS-67 or MS-68 and above, are dramatically rarer than their circulated counterparts, with prices that multiply exponentially with each point higher on the grading scale. Now think about the visual drama of such a coin. On the obverse you might see Washington's profile shifted noticeably to the left with part of the Liberty lettering missing, the date 1981 doubled with crisp split serifs, and the D mint mark slightly tilted due to a rotated die, while a bold die crack arcs from Washington's forehead down toward the rim. On the reverse the eagle might be distorted from the off-center strike, its wings doubled and a cud raised unstruck area caused by a piece of the die breaking away, appearing above its head. All of this struck on an unusual metal planchette that has a different luster and tone than a normal copper-nickel-clad quarter, perhaps with a weight slightly above or below the standard 5.67 grams, which to a trained numismatist is an immediate sign that something is amiss, and when such a coin is authenticated by a leading grading service, slabbed in a protective holder with a label describing its errors, and then presented to the collecting public, the frenzy that can ensue is nothing short of spectacular. Wealthy collectors, investment funds, and even museums can become bidders, each motivated not only by the rarity and beauty of the coin but by the bragging rights of owning the most valuable quarter ever documented from the pre-state quarters era. And bidding wars have a way of pushing prices far beyond initial estimates, especially when the item in question is unique and irreplaceable. And if this coin also carried an interesting provenance, say it was once part of a famous collection, or discovered in a bank vault during an estate settlement, it would add another layer of intrigue and historical significance, making it even more desirable. And what's truly amazing is that coins like this can still turn up unexpectedly, found by everyday people sorting through pocket change, inherited collections, or rolls of coins from the bank. And that's why stories like this are so exciting, because they remind us that treasure hunting is not limited to metal detectors and shipwrecks. Sometimes the treasure is sitting quietly in a coin jar on a kitchen counter, waiting for someone with curiosity and sharp eyes to notice it. So imagine being that person who spots the off-center strike, the double date, the unusual weight, sends the coin off for grading, and then finds out it's worth $58 million, a life-changing sum for something that could have been spent on a candy bar. And the ripple effect of such a discovery is huge, inspiring countless others to start checking their coins more carefully, learning about errors, varieties, and the subtle details that can make one coin worth millions while another is worth face value. And in the case of the 1981 D quarter, the $58 million figure represents not just the physical attributes of the coin but the culmination of rarity, condition, error type, historical context, collector demand, and the sheer spectacle of its existence. It's a coin that by all rights should not exist, yet it does, and in doing so it has become a legend, a symbol of the boundless possibilities hidden in everyday objects, and a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are the ones hiding in plain sight. So the next time you see a 1981 D quarter in your change, take a moment to look at it closely, because you never know when history, rarity, and fortune might come together in the palm of your hand, turning an ordinary day into one you will never forget.